League, according to one Michael Fabian. Yes, I see the confusion on his face. What happened to LaShawn McCoy? What happened to He had 1,100 yards last year, and he also had 42 catches as well. All right, one of my favorite people here at NFL that way. At least when he's in the field, because he provides chuckles for all of us. There's no action. Ian Rappaport, we remember. There's a a Thursday night game.
This is like the shuffle. It's, the slide, flippity slide, I don't know.
So here's what happens at Redskins. They don't care what you're doing. If you're on live national TV, they're going to tell you, get off the field.
Yeah. We were working on Dan's moves with that. Like, most people will turn you off, but, he had it. Hey, coming up, training camp, front time, we have Jay Cutler and Dominic and Sue, one of them, Antonio Brown, is coming up.
And right now, thanks for watching.
Him out with a changeup for a strike. Bases are empty, one man. And the pitch.
I like Oreo.
And they'll try to take control of the inside part of the plate here.
Chocolate chip cookie dough. Chocolate extreme.
On Miracle Treat Day, a simple act of ordering your favorite blizzard can make miracles happen. For every DQ Blizzard sold on July 30th, $1 or more will go towards your local Children's Miracle Network hospitals. Text MIRACLE to 88769 to get a Miracle Treat Day reminder on Thursday, July 30th to make miracles happen.
I read your face and your prints through every database we have. You know what happens? Let me start with your name. 47. What exactly are you?
Bases empty here in the top of the first. Now the first pitch. First pitch fastball off the plate here. Ball 1.
Always close my contracts.
The dual tires on Terrence Lane's truck are engineered to be Bridgestone's best SUV tires. And now they have an 80,000 mile treadwear warranty.
Look for a specific pitch.
That's what they're doing.
And it's straight back. 2 out, nobody.
With an 80,000 mile treadwear warranty, the Dueler tires are Bridgestone's best SUV tires. Go to BridgestoneTire.com to find a Bridgestone dealer near you.
Fastball right back to the mound.
Connections and Smith.
Nick Martinez will step in now to lead things off in the home half of the first. And bouncing ball foul.
The places you never thought you'd go. This is why we travel. And why we continue to create new technology to connect you to the people and places that matter.
I've been inspired by every company I've ever worked with. The only thing I was ever good at were traveling and beer. So what did I do? I started a traveling beer company. Now I spend my time having fun with beer.
Fine.
Across the country. Our American ales are carefully crafted with fresh, juicy citrus for a smooth, crispy taste. Various travelers brewed with fresh lemon and a touch of lime. Traveler Beer Company. The road to refreshment begins here.
No one burns on my watch.
Try Alka-Seltzer Heartburn and Beef Juice. They work fast and don't taste chalky.
Alka-Seltzer Heartburn and Beef Juice. Enjoy the way. We spend all Sunday together. Like we're family. So we need to set some family rules.
First, if you're burning up the air before anyone else, you're making a compliment.
All right, I mean cappuccino. This cappuccino is awful.
And can you please make sure you have fantasy stats?
We really need to do credit work. Let's warm back.
And if you're going to be up later than anyone else on game day, fine.
For Pete's sake, don't let the dog get out.
It was one time. Two times. So you're with NFL Game Day. You're with family. Only on NFL Network.
And welcome to Training Camp Prime Time. Over the next 3 hours, access like you can't get anywhere else. And one-on-one interviews you won't see anywhere else.
How many times have you watched The Catch?
I remember getting home after the game and I was playing my phone and just seeing like Twitter and Instagram going off and it was just everywhere. Like, We got some more where I came down here for a reason, and I think on paper we've got a great defense. Really like that stuff and just like have a breakout. So.
Oh, we'll explain that one, and we'll show you how we have cameras everywhere. And I'm just talking about just on Antonio Brown. We're learning how to get open with one of the best receivers in the game. You have never seen anything quite like we're going to show you tonight. Hey, can't get to practice yourself? We are giving you a front row seat. We are on the field as your team is getting ready to go to work. We have our team of reporters coast to coast.
Day one of your training camp
Seahawks.
with the Titans at Patriots training camp
With the Redskins in Richmond, Virginia.
with the Giants.
Welcome on training camp. Prime time starts now. Training camp prime time presented by Mitsubishi Motors indicates to you the fans are ready. The training camp This is right today at Gillette Stadium, Patriots training camp. And folks, whatever all the field concerns there have been, have not taken the spirits of the Patriot Nation. They charged in to see Tom Brady and the boys take the field. We'll have that video for you coming up in just a few moments. Washington Redskins fans down in Richmond, Virginia. Oh, some fresh ink on the tilt away. The dogs wearing glasses, sure, all the fellas in the house here rooting on their favorite team. Will take you to Redskins camp. Chicago Bears camp in Bourbonnais, Illinois. The fans much more docile than the Patriot fans. I guess maybe. John Fox and gets cranked up there in Bourbonnais. Welcome everyone to Training Camp Prime Time. We are live from the NFL Network Studios. We're here for the next 3 hours. We'll take you everywhere you need to know. Get you caught up on what is day 1 or day 2 for many different training camps around the NFL. I'm Scott Hansen, joining me on the outside. Obviously, Nate Gross. Good. Glad to be here. You're looking good. A lot of competition to dress well near this man here. And the man in the middle has all the credentials here. The Super Bowl champion, the MVP of the league. Not me, that guy right there. Well, damn it! We just started the day with crowd shots. So a lot of coaches have chosen to do open practices with the fans early on in training camp. As players, that raise it up, raise the stakes for you a little bit, charge you up.
A little bit. For vets, we kind of like the energy a little bit. Young guys get distracted. I remember myself when the fans first got out there and they're yelling and they're asking for autographs. I'm taking a break and running over to the fence. And I remember my coach saying, hey, we don't do that until after practice. I've got to learn quickly. You got to separate the fans until it's time to go shake their hands.
And that's what we're looking for, because the veterans would go over and interact a little bit. And what I always used to love is early in camp or that first game, you complete that long pass down the sideline. Those couple thousand people go crazy. It's like, okay, this is football. It's exciting.
Makes you feel like a little game time situation. Well, the fans were allowed today at Gillette Stadium, Patriots training camp. Let's take you to some of the video there as Tom Brady took the field for the first time in training camp. The players not wearing jersey numbers out there, but trust us, you can tell by the body type that he has numbers well. He received huge motivation. What? Almost anytime he did anything, including take a water break.
Oh my God, talk about the lag. It's ridiculous.
He took all of the first team reps. We'll get into that in just a minute. But first, Bill Belichick met the media after practice and did pretty much what Bill Belichick does at a news conference.
Prepare for a season where for the first 4 games you may or may not have Tom Brady.
Right now, we're preparing for today. Practice today.
Right? I mean, I might have, I might not. How do you plan?
Right now, we're practicing for today. That's all I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about a month from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, 6 months from now. Leave that up to all you guys next week. Just
Dave, do you find any sign of distraction, or is the getting to the field a welcome avoidance of distraction?
So we always prepare for practice and go out there. Practice and evaluate the next person. Strength.
Brady didn't meet the media today, but the, for now, backup quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo did speak with reporters. The man only has 27 NFL passes to his credit. Young kid out of Houston, Illinois, could be the man to start the season for the reigning Super Bowl champs. Here's what Jimmy Garoppolo had to say today post practice.
You know, we're not really looking at far. I don't think anyone is, but you know, first day training camp, gather with the guys, and we felt good to get out here again and call them.
What was your reaction to suspensions that's going on? Obviously, that's a direct impact on you.
Right, you know, it's still, not much of a reaction to it, really. Just stay focused on what I can control and what I'm trying to learn right now and improve on.
For more on the day in Foxborough, Massachusetts, we turn it over to Judy Batista.
I'm Judy Batista at Patriots training camp, Tom Brady's first practice of training camp, and not surprisingly, he was met by a huge roar from the crowd and some free Brady banners too. On the field, it was business as usual for Brady. He was 27 of 30. He took all of the reps with the first team. He was very sharp. 2 of the incompletions were drops. He also caught a nifty one-handed catch from Julian Edelman at the pylon. Very nice backup, big ball from the crowd. Jimmy Garoppolo was also sharp working with the backup. He said nothing's changed for him since Brady was suspended. That's really the mantra around here in Foxborough. Josh McDaniel, the offensive coordinator, even said they hadn't even discussed changing their regular practice regimen.
Hold on there as he swings and misses on a pitch in the dirt.
Judy Batista, thank you for that. All right, Nate, Kurt, let's put you back in the training camp mode here. We're going to run a few minutes of Patriots video, and you just tell us what you see, what they went through, and what you feel about just 2 quarterbacks right now currently playing. Matt Flynn, the former Packer, is injured right now. So we have 2 quarterbacks currently playing Garoppolo and Brady.
I don't think that's surprising. They expect to go in with probably 2 guys and not spend a roster spot on that third guy, and these would be the 2 guys that you expect that to be. If Tom has to sit out in the amount of time, that's going to be in the mix as well. But, you know, this is a fun part of training camp, and we were talking about it a little bit earlier, Nate, is that as a quarterback, one of the things you always wonder is, you wonder when your skills are going to diminish as you get older and older, but one of the things you always come back to training camp, it's, will I be able to have that feel in the pocket, to kind of feel that guy coming from my backside, or be able to step and move. So that's one of these drills right here where we're just trying to get that movement back, feel a little pressure, slide, you know, not sliding a lot, just moving in the pocket, staying down, and then get back.
What I love about this drill in particular when it comes to the New England Patriots running it is that Brady is one of the best at having awareness in the pocket, taking side steps, taking 1 step forward, 1 step backwards, just knowing exactly where everybody is when he's sitting in that pocket. And he has great composure. So people might see this drill and say, oh, it's just a coach throwing bags at a quarterback, but it's so much deeper than that. And Kirk can talk on the intricacies of being in the pocket. You see very fast athletic QBs that have no awareness in the pocket. And then you have guys that aren't known as the most athletic QBs, and they're the best in the pocket. So these drills, they're fun to look at, but they're really important when it comes to application to the game.
A lot of guys that you would say are quarterbacks, when you throw them back out or you flash pressure on them, the first thing they're going to do is take off and run. They're going to get out of the pocket and try to make a play. But so many big plays are made when, you know, the guards are getting the defensive linemen, and they're just going to push it by, and you slide, step up in the pocket, get 10 seconds on the throw. That's what the great ones, especially the great drop-back passes, are so good at. Guys like Drew Brees and Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, is they can hit the pocket, and it's just 6 inches here, 12 inches there, but it sets them up in a position where they can make those throws downfield.
And it's almost like a 6th sense. You can survey the field right away. And then once you get in the pocket, you're not looking behind, you're not looking on the side. You're looking at those receivers and some really good quarterbacks like Kirk was that was able to negotiate the pocket, not only with their legs, but also with their mind. Brady looks good in this drill because he usually does, like you guys said, but metaphorically speaking, he spent the last 4 months or so dodging stuff that's thrown at him. So, you know, so he's going to be ready whenever this. Yeah. Well, look, I'm trying to transition actually into the court case because there was some news today regarding Tom Brady and company. I want to let you know you will see Brady in his first preseason game. That's against the Green Bay Packers. How many reps for Tom Brady with the first team offense? August 13th, you will find out. coming up in 2 weeks from tonight at 7:30 right here on NFL Network. As for that court case, the Players Union filed their lawsuit in Minnesota. The NFL filed its lawsuit in New York. Today it was announced it will be heard in New York. That seems to be a win for the league and a detriment to Tom Brady. The legal experts can go into that a little bit later on, but the NFL Players Union lawyer said, no big deal, we're prepared to do it at any venue. Keep you posted, of course, in the days and weeks to come. From one-star quarterback to another Super Bowl champion, Russell Wilson, looking for a new contract. Now, Wilson and the Seahawks reported to training camp today. They are expected to take the practice field tomorrow. All of this timing is key, which we will explain right now by going out live to Washington State, where Steve Wyche is standing by. All right, Steve, he's got 1 year left on his rookie deal. He wants the long-term deal. They have put an artificial deadline. Both the team and the players said, once we get into training camp, this is not going to be talked about. So we're in the final hours of negotiating here. What can you tell us?
Well, that deadline came up from Russell Wilson's camp. He just doesn't want that hanging over his head, and basically he's told the team, if you couldn't get a deal done by now, then we're not going to get a deal done during the season.
Oh my God, dude, talk about the lag. Are you fucking kidding me, dude?
They're bringing this side here on Renton at the team facility, so we don't know if they're negotiating, if there's a stalemate right now.
Oh my God, dude.
About these types of negotiations, if they're close at a so-called deadline, they'll follow through if they think that there's going to be some type of resolution. So we'll see when Russell Wilson takes the field tomorrow if he is under contract, Scott. This we do know. Russell Wilson will be the Seahawks starting quarterback in 2015, whether it's for a deal that averages about $21 million, which the Seahawks have offered, but the guaranteed money is not what Russell Wilson wants, or for the $1.5 million he's due for the final year.
Well, the front office has many balls in the air to juggle right here because there are a couple of veteran defenders that we've reported on the last day or two that may or may not show up to training camp. Even the latest on Cam Chancellor, the safety, and Michael Bennett, the defensive lineman.
Guys, what I'm going to do here, too, is I'm going to step out of the way and let my cameraman kind of get a shot of the practice facility because, as we know, the Seahawks do take practice. We'll start practice tomorrow at this beautiful facility out here, as I said, in Renton, Washington. So those avid fans, this scoreboard is going to be big. This is how they're going to chart practice. And we're going to swing a little bit to the side where the fans will be sitting. That takes us to Michael Bennett, Cam Chancellor.
Oh, my God, dude, talk about
the Chancellor, the
No! What the fuck? Dude, that is so cheap, man!
He's got 2 years left on his deal. Michael Bennett, as we hand over to Lake Washington, one of the most scenic backdrops in any football facility in any sport. And Michael Bennett told me earlier this summer that he was thinking about not showing up for the first few days of training camp because he wants a new deal. And keep in mind, Michael Bennett signed as a free agent with the Seahawks last year. He could have signed elsewhere, like with the Bears for more money. He liked the situation. One thing we don't know is if they're actually going to hold out. We'll find that out tomorrow morning as we leave you. Looking at the flag of the 12, the sign that flies all over Seattle, kind of recognizing the great fan base here. They call themselves the 12, Scott. And you see that flying right here at the facility with Lake Washington in the background.
That's beautiful. One of the few training camps that the players can arrive by jet ski. Thank you very much, Steve Wyche, live with the Seattle Seahawks. A little bit of negative news here to pass along. Relatively late on Thursday, we found this out. More trouble for Sheldon Richardson, the defensive lineman for the New York Jets, already suspended for the first 4 games of the regular season for violating the league's substance abuse policy. Now more legal trouble for him, going back to an incident that happened a couple of weeks ago. Let's get the details on this. Go into the newsroom with NFL media insider Rand Getman. Rand, what's the latest on Sheldon Richardson?
Sheldon Richardson was arrested for resisting arrest by fleeing and endangering the welfare of a child. Now, these charges stemmed from a road race that he was engaged in. All of these are allegations at this point, where he was going 143 miles per hour in a Bentley Flying Spur. He allegedly sped through a red light, lost control of his car for a moment in time, gained control of that car, but turned off his lights at some point during the chase while resisting arrest from the police. When the police finally did pull up to him after he pulled into a driveway that was not his, he was reaching under his seat, the officer said, where he had a fully loaded semi-automatic pistol under the seat. Complicating things, he had a 12-year-old in the back seat of the car as well, and allegedly the car smelled of marijuana. Now, this is a big issue for Richardson because he was suspended for 4 games under the league's substance abuse policy. This obviously compounds issues for the Jets. They were hoping to get Richardson back after 4 games, and while we are not aware yet what's going to happen after this, certainly some questions on the horizon as to his availability beyond those 4 games.
Okay, Rand, this incident happened about 2 weeks ago. The charges came just late tonight here. What's the Jets' position on this?
Well, the Jets have released a statement that they are aware of the charges, that it is a pending legal matter, and at this point they have no further comment. We can expect to hear from the Jets in the coming days and weeks, figuring out what's next for Sheldon Richardson and the organization.
Rand Gatlin with the latest details on more trouble for fine defensive lineman for the New York Jets. Thank you, Rand. Much more to come here on Training Camp Prime Time. We're going to take you out to Dallas Cowboys Training Camp. Oxnard, California, the site. Dez got paid. Now he's shooting for the Super Bowl. How's Tony Romo feeling in the first snaps of preseason 2015? Meanwhile, in the NFC East, back in Richmond, Virginia, Washington Redskins camp is underway. How was day 1 for RG3? We'll take you live to Washington's camp.
Very confident, it's a lot of long nights, a lot of long days. So, when the night zone, they come so fast, you wake up in the morning and back out. So just having that comfortability, video games earlier in here.
One thing I always bring to camp is movies. I'm a big movie guy. I love movies. So I got playing games as well. But I really typically games. I just want to relax and watch movies on all day. So I bring my share of movies.
Training Camp Prime Time is presented by the dramatically transformed 2016 Mitsubishi Outlander.
Do all you can to keep them safe. So do the 2015 Mitsubishi Outlander with available forward collision mitigation, named one of America's safest CUVs. Now 0% APR for 17 months and a Mitsubishi Outlander. Let's see. We'll take a Big Mac, Days and chicken sandwich.
Chinese chicken McNugget.
This summer, come play WrestleMania with Spinning Mania and South. Feel your way through street outfits and great food prices. Trips to the Universal theme park. And four-wheel drums for a chance to win $250,000. Double your chances to win with 2 babies for 3 extreme events for just $5.
I expect to make change. I expect to do what hasn't been done. I expect to be great.
This is about family, heart, and spirit. Where would you rather be than right here, right now?
That's 2016 Hall of Fame Prime Time. Live.
You know what this beach needs?
Here it comes.
CPR?
Get a great deal during the Dodge Summer Clear today. Now get 0% financing for 750 value. Dodge Charger SXT. Merely lettering on the ball until somebody yells play ball and the killer bee dumps, steals, and sacrifices his way into history from behind the plate to second base to the outfield to Cooperstown, all in Astros uniform. And then, it's not just a number. It's the man forever enshrined in our hearts. Astros baseball, more than just a game. Join us July 31st through August 2nd for Vigio Hall of Fame Weekend. For tickets, visit Astros.com.
Welcome back. Training Camp Prime Time presented by Mitsubishi Motors. There is a site that needs training. The Packers on
When I was there for a few weeks, nobody gave me a bicycle. I
to get in. You were just crestfallen. Well, they wish they would have kept you around for a while. Jacksonville Jaguars veterans who showed up to training camp on Thursday. Denard Robinson, one of the rare guys who seems to be making the transition from a college quarterback into a different position, a running back position at that. Pretty nicely. The Jags did some boys there in the AFC South. Meanwhile, let's go all the way across the coast. Oxnard, California, the Dallas Cowboys training camp. They opened up camp today. Cowboys putting through their paces. Tony Romo and the guys thinking about perhaps a Super Bowl season this year. Gotta be thinking about this first day of training camp. Everybody's thinking about a Super Bowl at this point in time. But obviously, they got some questions answered, but they've also got some big-time playmakers. Tony can go back-to-back seasons like he did last year. If they can get something out of that running game, maybe that running back by committee, they got a chance. They got a chance to compete.
I think the biggest question, obviously, is who's going to be in the backfield, because that kind of determines their success. Last year, you saw Des Bryant absolutely go off 16 touchdowns, and then Jason Witten doing what he normally does, being one of the most consistent tight ends. But it all ends up the fact that they had a great running game, and it allowed Tony Romo to play in a better space than we've seen him in the past, not have to try to throw his team into wins all game. And I think that's the best thing for this team. And if they can have that running game, they'll be successful.
You guys don't mention the running game. Yeah. A little bit of a setback on day one for the Cowboys. Darren McFadden tweaked his hamstring, who starts camp on the pup list. Physically unable to defend. Nothing to do with how Darren McFadden for his whole career. No, he's never played for a 16-game season. And this might just be a hamstring tweak that needs, a few days or whatever else like that. But the fans to hear that, they're like, come on, is it going to happen? You want to get it right, I guess, early in camp. Don't take any chances, right?
But he gets this knock, and we know that he's been injured in the past. And just speaking from a guy who's in that position where you're healthy all season, and all of a sudden you show up for camp and something happens. So he feels the worst. I know the fans are worried right now. Just give him time to heal up. Hopefully he'll show you what he got in preseason and stay healthy for 16 games.
Well, they are the class of the NFC East, coming back from the division championship last year. Chasing them, among others, in the NFC East, the Washington Redskins opening up camp. They had some work on the field today with RG3 and company. Throwing his out routes right there. All eyes on the fourth-year quarterback. Of course, they've got some people back in some pass and Kirk Cousins and Colt McCoy as well. But this seems to be the make-it-or-break-it year for the former number 2 pick in the draft. For more on that, let's go live now. Albert Greer, our man with the Redskins. So RG3, how do you look here in day one?
Well, Scott, I talked to Jay Goodman, like, not only about today, but how they've handled RG3 over the course of the last few months.
You're not supposed to steal third, dude.
Raw quarterback. Obviously, he's still young, like 25 years old. Maybe the biggest thing he said was that he doesn't think that they
fucking son of a bitch, dude. You're not supposed to steal fucking third.
In 2014, in particular, too many third balls. He was playing from behind, far too many fourth quarters. That put way too much on his shoulders. So the idea here at Redskins training camp is to take as much as they can off of his shoulders. They've got a new offensive line coach, Bill Callahan, who's going to be running the running game. They've got a new defensive coordinator in Joe Barry, who's going to be trying to revamp a very, very poor defense from last year. And obviously, General Manager Scott McClure is now thinking of players. Big focus on the line of scrimmage there. So they're trying to take more off of RG3 now. But as you said, it's a big, big year for him. They did exercise a $16.1 million option for 2016, but they're not tied to that. They can still cut ties with him after the year if he doesn't perform. So there's a lot of pressure on him going forward.
Now, in the first couple days of training camp, maybe a time or an opportunity to fill out the rosters as well. A high-profile, even controversial visitor today at Redskins camp. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Junior Glenn's still here, actually. He took a physical earlier in the day. They worked him out. They've been meeting key members of the organization. Head coach Davis, General Manager Scott McClure, and other Dan Snyder. There's no question they want what he brings as a player. 22 sacks over the last 2 years. He's a big man in the outside linebacker position. Fits the profile of what we're looking for.
No, right now.
They're obviously now into what the left has done over the last couple of years. Why he was jettisoned from the New Orleans Saints despite being such a productive player. So that's where they are right now. They're under those offices trying to come to a comfortable with him as a person. If they can do that, they get comfortable with who he is and where he's going from there, then they could sign him to a one-year prove-it type of deal, but it won't be anything more than that.
Okay, he's still there. Good to have you still there. So keep us posted live from Redskins camp. Thanks, Evan. You got it. Still to come here on Training Camp Prime Time. If you were on the internet today, you may have heard a quote, read a quote from Jay Cutler. It came from the interview we're going to play you when we come back. Who says families have to share data? Now get 4 lines. Each customer 10 gigs of 4G LTE data. Just $30 a line. It's 10 gigs for all. Only for This is a great area. Visit amusehotels.com. They're genuine guest reviews, so written by guests who have genuinely stayed there, instead of people who lie on the internet.
Look, a finger.
That's unsettling. You think all the time, except when I sleep, which I will not do here. Hotels.com would have mentioned the finger.
Strike out and the play at first goes 2-3.
Oreo. I love you, Oreo. Chocolate chip cookie dough. Chocolate extreme.
On Miracle Treat Day, the simple act of ordering your favorite blizzard can make miracles happen. For every DQ Blizzard sold on July 30th, $1 or more will go towards your local Children's Medical Network hospital. Text NERD to 887-600 to get Miracle Treat Day reminder on Thursday, July 30th to make miracles happen.
Who are we? We're the guys after that. It looks get less. Tech that makes your life easier. A warranty program that lasts longer than any other car in the leasing. So brace yourself. Because we're just getting started. What's it like to drive a Hyundai?
Mr. Raven, and now, Pro Football Hall of Fame.
I just want to play the best football I can play and end up being. It's just something that we can't even dream of.
Tim Brown, Road to Canton, August 7 to 10, only on NFL Network.
You gotta work harder than the next one. Work harder than anybody else. Doing what's required. If you really want to be, great, you gotta go above and beyond what's required. Which is doing extra stuff, whether it's rehab or whether it's actually working out. I work a lot on technique, so I do something wrong with it. I know drill people do something like that. I would continuously do it until I get it right because you don't want to do a drill wrong and then you do it wrong and you're not getting the benefit out of it. So I continue to do it until I get it right. Fitness is the utmost importance to success in the field.
you're not fit, if you do get susceptible to injury on the field. And if you're injured, you're not good enough on the field, you won't be able to play. So in order to be successful, you have to get there on the field.
And Matt Forte's back, Cutler is back, but the sideline is almost completely new, as in a new coaching staff in Chicago. The Bears first practice today. Stacey Dales one-on-one with the quarterback.
Bears quarterback Jay Cutler. Jay, let's start with this. It's hard for me to wrap my head around the fact 5 offensive coordinators for you. I'm sure it's perhaps hard for you. Adam Gase is the guy.
Yeah.
Describe this offense.
Adam's kind of had some of the same influences that I've had. Mike Martz, a little bit of the West Coast, he was with Josh McDaniels in Denver. So he's got a real mixture of different offenses, number system, code words, Peyton Manning. So it's a large bag of offense that he's kind of choosing from. I think he's done an unbelievable job of picking different things from each offense that works really well to measure for us. So he's put together something that's kind of unique.
For you at the line of scrimmage, what kind of freedom do you want, and what type of freedom will you have in this offense?
I think we're looking into it. I don't think we're really going to know until we get into a couple preseason games and see what we can handle. Because it's a new offense, we're just kind of trying to.
Oh my God! This son of a bitch is doing something!
Some options that he knows is going to work.
You know how good
Oh, this son of a bitch is so fucking full of shit, dude. If you, oh my God, dude.
What's the dynamic this year?
Like you said, explosive guy, getting him back healthy and getting him going. He's going to have a different dynamic. Marty went to a Pro Bowl, couple times, 10 balls, a big body, comes a lot for us. I think we added Eddie Royal, who we got from San Diego. I played with him in what he did. Slot dynamic guy that has a little bit of change of pace for us that we haven't had around.
What? That's fucking.
He had a great camp last year. Here's Collarbone, kind of came back at the end of the season. He's had a great spring, so we got a lot of guys.
Brandon Marshall, former teammate.
It only happens when I fucking hit fucking liners like that, man.
Chemistry issues last year. What's your reaction?
It only fucking happens when I fucking hit.
He's fine, and he's been like that for a long time.
Every time I hit fucking hard drivers, all of a sudden everything slows down. Oh my God, man.
So, new staff, new GM, you just never know what's going to happen. He's going to do well with the Jets. I know he's in unbelievable shape. I've seen him work out in Chicago a little bit, so he's going to do well.
Kind of long cycle walls have come down. John Fox is a motivator. Visuals around the building. Where is the
Respect for Coach Fox. He does a great job of giving us a plan, showing us how we're going to get there, and letting us do it. He's not a guy that's going to tell out the rules, but at the end of the day, if you mess up, you're going to be in his office, you're going to have to deal with him.
Jay, you got a couple kids at home. You've got one on the way. I don't know if there's a quarterback in this league 10 years for you who's been under as much scrutiny. You take the brunt of everything, and when there's glory, sometimes you don't get the glory. How have you managed it? Even last year, they sent you for a little bit. There's trade rumors. How have you managed to handle really the scrutiny that surrounds you? This team.
It's tough at times. I mean, I'd be lying if I said it hasn't been tough at times. I really enjoy the guys in the locker room. I think we've got some exceptional guys, got some really close friends, got some friends that have to laugh in the locker room. So they help keep everything grounded. You mentioned married with kids, and you're being able to get home and play with the boys, and they don't care whether we lost or we won, and they're just happy to have home, and I can play with them. So you got to find some balance in life and be able to at times turn it off and just be like, forget it. It is my job. I love playing football, and I'm happy that I'm still doing these guys.
Jay Cutler kind of revealing a little of himself right there. This is a guy who has Pro Bowl talent and plays like a Pro Bowl from time to time. And then he can also make you pull your hair out with some of the turnovers. He led the league in giveaways last year with 24. Kurt Warner, I know you did some film study on it. Before you get to that, though, you were kind of impressed with his demeanor in this interview.
I think a lot of times you see him up on the podium, a lot of people are wondering, does he have any passion for this? Does he have any feeling? Does it really bother him? And I love that. You got to see who he was. And, you know, it does bother him. Even though I might not let it off, but it bothers me. It bothers me when that screaming comes out there. And maybe he's grown up a little bit, and he's become humbled a little bit. The kids and that stuff always has a way of bringing things into perspective. So I was just really impressed with the way he sat down and was kind of forthright with some of the things that he's dealt with. And Brandon Marshall, even the way he answered that with Brandon Marshall, like, you smile on his face, like, hey, you know, sometimes that happens, and you know, your ex-girlfriend, nobody's going to have that. Yeah, exactly. So I thought he handled himself really, really well.
Okay, that's on the personal side. Put him on the chalkboard now and breaking down his decision making.
Well, as you said, he's always been a talented guy. It's never been an issue of can he make the throws, can he do things with the football. It's always been about decision making with Jay Cutler. And you look right here, this is football 101. We got high lows, we got corners and flats here. Pick a side, and you got guys in here. You got to let the ball go. He's trying to hold it to get that big play down the field. You're going to see another one here. You got a deep corner out with a crosser here. You just read that outside corner. That corner goes with the 7. You've got a big hole for that crosser right there. But again, big ball. I want to get that big play. I'm going to try to force it down the field to my receiver instead of just taking the gimme there. These are the things that he's got to work on within this new system, no matter what it is. You'll see another one here. We've got to go and just an out on one side. We've got 3 defenders over there. Got to see the outside guy. He doesn't see it. Trying to beat the inside guy, outside guy coming to hit his guy. Ball goes high, gets tipped for an interception. So these are the things that he has to get better at. We know he can make the throws. We know he can be a big dynamic player and got that big arm to stretch the field. But you have to be consistent, especially when you have a defense like the Bears defense has been the last couple of years. You have to be judicious. You can't give the ball away like he did last year and expect this team to win. It's got to lie within that unique system.
Well, he hopes to get Kevin White in the mix here, the top 10 draft pick rookie with a lot of potential out with a shin injury to start training camp. But Alshon Jeffrey goes to the number 1. They've got weapons though. That's what take one of the best pass catchers out the backfield and a very good running back as well. Well,
like you said, he has the weapons that he needs to be successful, but he's always had weapons. I think one thing you have to do is lean on your running game. He has Matt Forte, which is one of the most versatile running backs in the game. You mentioned Alshon Jeffries, who is just a great talent, you know, and at that size and speed and his playmaking ability, you know, being able to take the top off coverage and actually run good routes for his size. He's going to be a playmaker for them. You get Kevin White healthy, he's going to come in and sprinkle a little bit of that pizzazz, maybe that big splash kind of player that they need on that offense. But then you also got Marcellus Bennett at the tight end position. He's one of the better tight ends in the league. But just like Kurt said, you have to be judicious in your decision making. And that's what's going to hurt him or help him this year, is being able to take exactly what the defense gives you. And it sounds more simple than it really is, but coaches say that right before we leave the locker room. Hey, just take what they give you. Don't force this. You read your keys. You talk about it. Read the corner. See the corner disappear, and you hit that out. He's right there, then you go over the top. It's very simple, but I mean, it's hard when you're out there and the bullets start flying.
It's more efficient offense. And I kind of like it to Big Ben offense. Is that when Coach Henry was there and they had that good defense, he'd love to stretch the field and attack down the field. Todd Henry comes over and there's some grumbling early on, like, man, we're not doing that anymore. But now you see Ben having some of the best years of his career because he's understanding that it's about first downs, it's about completions, it's about moving the chains, and then we'll take our shots down the field. I think that's what Jay Cutler needs to do. We saw him take there. Go ahead and take those checkdowns. Go ahead and go to Matt Forte. Take those crossers. Those big plays will come with the players that we have. We don't have to force the issue.
5-11 last year in a division that put 2 teams into the playoffs last year as well in the Packers and the Lions. Bears trying to make that jump to be a contender once again. From a quarterback, a veteran like Jay Cutler, to a fresh rookie, Marcus Mariota on the field for the first time. We're going to take you to Titans camp. Talk about the guy that they expect to be the starter here in year 1. And you have to watch this feature coming up. Antonio Brown decked out in our GoPro cameras. A wide receiver showing you angles from every angle. Next. you do sports, however you do fun,
Some activity out of the bullpen now as a couple of
however you do summer,
first pitch to him.
do it like Sports Authority. Shop thousands of great deals this summer. Sports Authority. Every auto insurance policy has an outcome. But not every insurance company understands the life behind them.
Oh my god, dude, really?
A new season brings a new look, a chance to try something different. This summer, challenge your preconceptions and experience a Cadillac for yourself.
Is on now to try to close things down here in the ninth.
The 2015 Cadillac SRX. These 6 months, $839 per month for purchase with 0% APR finance.
Ninth inning underway now as the first pitch.
Easy nights with new crust flavors. Favorite barbecue and now ranch. You missed no sauce, no strange.
More flavor, more fun. Pizza Hut's Cheesy Bites Pizza is back with your choice of 1 of 7 crust flavors like new ranch and barbecue. No one has more flavor, only at Pizza Hut.
Did you really think of something?
What?
Something
No.
I don't like. Home. And now you feel comfortable understand. Because switch wireless carriers and take a reliable connection. It's okay. We're still here.
And we'll be happy to have you back in the reliable.
Come home to Verizon and get 10 gigs for $80 a month plus $15 per month. Only Verizon.
Foul back and out of play.
Who knows? Who knows? No matter where he's listening.
Here comes.
Perhaps they're just joyful. Instead of
It's 95 as a city, a family for our team. And that means all season long. And NFL Network is the only place to see the entire preseason. Yes, with 13 live games. Get back to football. All 65 preseason games starting this month, only on NFL Network.
Now, number 2 overall. With the 2015 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Marcus Mariota. The guy that plays in every game.
I just don't think you can pass up a potential franchise quarterback.
These things don't come around very often. We thought there might be a trade there. Well, there wasn't. It's going to be interesting over there.
And now we do it on Tennessee's practice field. It was day 1 for the Tennessee Titans in training camp on the field. Former Heisman winner going through his paces there. Well, they drafted him number 2 overall. They have no intention of him sitting number 2 on their depth chart, apparently. Let's take you live for a look at St. Thomas Sports Park in Nashville, Tennessee, where the sun is starting to go down at that beautiful facility there. Let's get a live report now. Tiffany Blackman with the Titans all day. Tiffany, what can you tell us about QB out there?
Thanks, Scott. Well, this place is going to look a lot different in the morning, and that's when the Titans officially open for practice. The fans are going to be here, and they're going to get the chance to see Marcus Mariota take the field for the first time. And Coach Ken Whitnall has told us he likes what he's seen out of his quarterback leading up to this point, and that now